to re-emphasize the numbers that Director of the NEC, Larry Kudlow, shared with you all yesterday, that the CBO predicted that in the third quarter we will get plus 20% GDP. They've predicted in Q4 we will be at plus 20% GDP. And top economist Ed Hyman says that in Q1 of 2021, he's predicting plus 5 in GDP. And this would put GDP above its 2019 peak. That's right. So pre-coronavirus numbers, should those predictions pan out. We are back and we will be booming. Finally, we are encouraged that we continue to gather positive data on a number of therapeutics. Heparin, dexamethasone, or steroids, as it's more commonly known, convalescent plasma, and remdesivir have all shown promise in treating coronavirus. Preliminary findings in a large UK-based recovery trial found that when steroids were used, there was a 30% reduction in death for coronavirus patients on ventilators. The FDA is reviewing this recovery trial data now. Additionally, on convalescent plasma, there is more encouraging news in partnership with Mayo Clinic. The Trump administration moved very quickly on this therapy in its earliest days, recognizing that it showed promise. Though through the FDA, Mayo Clinic, and the administration's work in our hand-in-hand partnership, we've found that this treatment is very promising. This has shown that the administration has left no stone unturned in looking at every possible treatment at the very earliest stages. The lead investigator of this Mayo Clinic study, Dr. Michael Joyner, summed up his work in saying that convalescent plasma, quote, continues to look promising, end quote, noting the, quote, excellent news of this study, which covered a diverse population of patients. About 20% were African American, nearly 35% Hispanic, 5% Asian, and 40% women. Prior experience with respiratory viruses and some data that have emerged globally suggests that convalescent plasma has the potential to lessen the severity or shorten the length of the illness caused by COVID-19. The results from Mayo underscore that promise. As you can see, the Trump administration and the FDA led on identifying convalescent plasma as a therapeutic, and the results are encouraging. Finally, I wanted to share some words from President Trump. Juneteenth reminds us of both the unimaginable injustice of slavery and the incomparable joy that must have attended emancipation. It is both a remembrance of a blight on our history and a celebration of our nation's unsurpassed ability to triumph over darkness. That ability is rooted in the fundamental goodness of America and the truths upon which we as a nation declared an end to our status as the subjects of a monarch and emerged as a free and independent people. Those truths that all men are created equal by the hand of God, endowed by our Creator with the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And with that, I'll take questions. Mario.
Thank you, Kayleigh. I'm wondering, given what we're seeing in markets and they're a little bit jittery given a rise in cases, any reason why the coronavirus task force hasn't been coming out to update us? Will they? And then also, have they been consulted on the rally for tomorrow?
So the coronavirus task force meets regularly. They're constantly reviewing data. They're constantly working with governors to ensure that we have safe reopenings across the nation. As for coronavirus task force briefings, those happened in the very early days of COVID-19 and the pandemic. We were making major decisions on travel bans, major decisions on supplies and PPE and therapeutics. It was very important that those decisions be shared with the nation. Now we're in a more regular routine where when we see a spike or an ember, as the president calls them, we're able to quickly go and put it out. And we have that system in place. We don't have regular updates for you other than the updates I give you as news merits. And I'm regularly in consultation with Dr. Birx and the others. Yes, Steve.
Kayleigh, two questions for you. First, on the president's tweet this morning regarding the Tulsa rally, when he said, what did he mean when he said any protesters wouldn't be treated like they were in New York, Seattle, and Minneapolis? Is the president indicating that the right to peaceably assemble should not apply to his rally?
No, that's not at all what he was saying. What the president was noting is that there were inexcusable scenes that we saw play out in New York and Seattle and Minneapolis, and that we would not see Tulsa, Oklahoma look that way. As the Mayor Bynum noted, individuals from organized groups who have been involved in destructive and violent behavior in other states are planning to travel to the city of Tulsa for the purposes of causing unrest in and around the rally, and that was an unacceptable proposition. We will not see things like what we we saw in Minnesota, where rioters lit an AutoZone on fire, or also in Minnesota, where protesters torched a police precinct, or in Seattle, where they've now set up a place called CHOP. They've taken over a part of the city, anarchists have, or the pillaging or the ambushing of 2 NYPD police officers who were on looting watch. One was stabbed in the neck and then shot 2 other officers who later arrived on the scene. So those kinds of scenes are unacceptable, and we will not see that in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
He doesn't mean all protesters?
No, what he was meaning are violent protesters, anarchists, looters, the kind of lawlessness that we saw play out before President Trump came in with the National Guard and calmed our streets with law and order.